Material Components, Season 2, Episode 52, Family Matters. Greetings and welcome to Material Components, the actual play RPG show all about a galaxy of magic and the adventurers who live there. I am your humble dragon master, Mike Gargoni, and joining me, as always, are my stalwart adventurers. Hey adventurers, thanks for being here.
You're welcome.
Heck yeah.
Beep bop boop.
Absolutely. You know what? I second that beep bop boop. Mm-hmm. Lisman was right.
Oh boy. All right.
Hey everybody. I'm Olivia and I'm playing Florina Vacalar.
I am Elliot and I am playing Shay.
I am Michael and I'm playing Oswald Octavian Theophilus III.
And I'm Reed and I'll be playing Amari.
Indeed. And of course, before we begin today's session, I would like to ask the same question I ask every time, and that is, Elliot, do you remember what happened last time?
Oui. Yes, I do. So we were taking a break to get our shuttle back to warping ability. Patching each other up, kind of decompressing from our very narrow escape. And we tried to patch up our the person that we rescued.
Your new associate.
Our new associate. I wouldn't say friends just yet. That comes later in the episode.
Spoilers.
Shut up. But waking up surrounded by a bunch of strangers after they had just crashed violently kind of freaked them out a little bit, and they sort of threatened to blow up the ship. So we kind of let them alone for a while, kind of talked to each other about what to do maybe. They were sending out kind of a distress signal almost. Probably wasn't going to reach anybody. And then they tried to sneak out and steal our shuttle, but we kind of I prevented them from doing that. And we had a kind of mini standoff in the hallway on the ship. Managed to convince them that we weren't going to hurt them, that we just wanted to help in whatever way we could. And then we all chatted about Aegis Tech Solutions and, what they were doing, what we were doing, kind of trying to get everybody on the same page. And we have a new straggler, not straggler, that wasn't the word I was looking for.
Companion.
I mean, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit.
No, I'm just kidding.
A new little duckling for our
party of NPCs.
Our stable, if you will.
You gotta catch them all.
Yes.
Our Pokédeck.
Your bench warmers. Just waiting to leap into the varsity here.
If any of us die.
The B team of Oracle Zero.
Yikes.
Which is the worst team in the...
I'm imagining that Vine that's like, you're going to want to start playing your best baseball in May, and it's just the guys in the bench with the, cups on their head.
The hat's inside out and upside down. Yeah. Are we the worst team? Because I kind of feel like we aren't, but that's kind of off the books that we aren't.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are only effective not
when no one's watching.
Yeah.
And then when we say we do some cool shit, we're just like, oh, no, trust us, we're really good. Yeah, no one's ever seen it. Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Well, literally all of the cool shit we've done, we've had to be like, okay, we can't tell the Cole Foundation about this.
That's true.
Oh, no, we totally can. We choose not to.
Correct.
At least
we
the
choose
public
to
wing,
suck.
The public face of the Cole Foundation is not aware of the vaunted adventures of Oracle Zero, but regardless, you are appreciated by the agents of the Arch-Proctor. So somebody somewhere knows about the good you're doing.
And to be honest, it's better that we kind of keep a low profile is funny to say in the same breath as Oracle Zero, but it's good that people think that we're not the best team because we can get away with more stuff.
It's true. And some of that stuff you got away with was talking down an individual threatening to explode your ship, the Tiresian, from the inside.
Now, she was bluffing, but we didn't know that until she told us.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of you managed to suss it out earlier than some. But, yes, you were introduced to a new companion, a Cogrish woman by the name of Vesnis Rosek. She who attempted, spectacularly failing, to infiltrate a Aegis Tech Solutions secret ice base that you had, even moments before, successfully pierced the defenses of.
Yeah.
But her plan to
harder.
fly headlong into it seemed to have had some issues to it.
Funny that. It's nice when NPCs are much more reckless than we are. It makes me feel better about the things that I do in this game.
Just based on your observed actions by this person, it might begin to build a framework by which you understand her character, seeing as you began with her flying headlong into an Aegis Tech base, and followed up with her threatening to blow herself and all of you up while
That's
she was
true.
inside of a ship. So there might be some baseline by which you are now working with your dealings with Vesnis Rosek.
I mean, she's got gumption. I'll give her that.
She is not without gumption.
So,
But you eventually manage to find some common ground with her, seeing as you are both seemingly at odds with Aegis Tech Solutions. And from there you manage to work out a deal?
Cohabitation.
Very much feels like an enemy of my enemy is my friend sort of situation.
Yeah.
There's still a bit of distrust between the lot of you, and she is definitely keeping her distance in a real way, especially aboard the Tiresian. But after that whole situation, you had resolved to return to the Storm's Repose and lift off the veil of secrecy that had been letting most of the galaxy believe that the four of you were dead for a few months.
Yeah.
Shit happens, y'all.
It's true. And rogue terrorist groups wielding God's tech, along with Aegis Tech Solution bases and daring Cogrish agents aside, you have now seemingly found it necessary to return to life among the living. And the four of you find yourselves now back aboard the Storm's Repose. The Tiresian, having made contact, letting them ahead of time know that you are coming, and boy howdy, do you have a welcome procession waiting for you when the ramp of the ship descends in the hangar bay that you are oh so familiar with, but have not seen in many, many months at this point.
Okay, quick point of order before we all walk down. The story that we're telling everyone is that we ran into some God's tech stuff. It made time go a little funky, and then we're back from our mission, and we rescued someone in that time period on our way back, right? That's the lie we're spinning.
And where specifically was this God's tech that we just happened to stumble upon?
Wow, God's tech is weird. It's real hard to.
I don't remember.
We couldn't.
It moves.
We couldn't.
I don't remember. Yeah, it's like 1 minute we were flying through space like you do, and then the next, it's been months.
Yes, the stars that we saw looked completely different than the ones that are normally observed within this galaxy. Very strange. Couldn't really explain it. Up was down. Down was
This
up.
story coming together as the ramp is descending and the light from the Storm Repose begin washing across your face.
Now this will be good.
You see waiting at the bottom of the ramp several familiar faces, not least of which is the placid, seemingly tightly controlled visage of Operations Director Victoria Silvaro. She stands at attention next to Proctor Jalvin Frost, as well as Captain Palavar Hexway, and a small, medium-sized contingent of security officers being led by the Lycan security chief, Barca Thorn. And they look on in combinations of wonder, astonishment, confusion, and joy, as well as Operation Director Silvaro's carefully controlled, muted expression, as she is perfectly aware that you are all still alive, and is now having to feign surprise. But yes.
How long has it been since the end of last episode? Are we talking days, hours, minutes?
Hours.
Hours, okay.
So you are still in fairly rough shape. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not actively bleeding anymore. You've got some bandages on there, but it is by no means whole and hearty.
Weapons malfunction.
Your Cogrish companion stands behind you. Just an hour or so before, you dropped Kala off at the secret entrance before making this approach, to be sure that she wasn't also suddenly aboard the Tiresian.
Yeah.
Awaiting with this command staff is also Lieutenant Commander Kiko Noboda, the Chief Medical Officer aboard. And they are with several other medical professionals waiting to see if there is a need for their services. You also see in the distance not a small number of other finder teams who are mostly just gawking. So you have an audience for what's happening here.
As we all get arrested.
For what?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, for what?
Well, we broke into a secret facility.
We were
I'm
in
sure
disguise.
that's illegal.
That was
we
some
were
sort of Aegis Tech
in-
surprise inspection unit, from what I hear.
Yeah, we were in perfect cover. I don't
Yeah.
think there's any way they could have cracked that.
But actually, we know nothing about that because time went funky.
Yeah,
True.
exactly.
hmm
Precisely.
Anyway, we're
That was a
descending down
test.
the ramp.
You passed. Good job.
As you descend the ramp, again, you are aware that a couple of these people here were aware that you were still alive.
Yeah.
Primarily among them, Operations Director Silvaro and Proctor Frost were both very much aware of your status during all of this. The others are a little more flummoxed by your sudden reappearance. And Commander Thorn will stride forward at the somewhat distraught resentment of the Proctor, who's saying that this is totally unnecessary, as she strides forward, motions as her security officers put hands to weapons, and she moves forward, and you see her vulpine nostrils flaring as she gets close.
She's getting ready to arrest us. Is that what's about to happen?
No, she seems to be, looking at all of you in turn with these fierce amber eyes, and her nostrils are flaring as she's tasting the air with her nose. And she looks at each of you in turn, and then she will pull out a data pad and hold it out in front of each of you in turn, saying, "If you could please look into this data pad for a moment."
Are we about to get Men in Blacked?
Why?
We're checking for changelings.
Oh, fair enough.
Oh, yeah.
Why?
They exist.
Yeah, but this is not standard procedure. This isn't standard procedure, I assume.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, well, then that is weird.
Yeah.
I'm very much going to not consent to their. Yeah.
It is standard procedure when operatives become in contact with unknown technologies that may have exposed them to Fey contamination.
Well, it weren't Fey tech, it was God's tech.
And you can tell the difference between the two then.
Is at least
Yes.
moderately explainable, I would say. There is a strange logic to it, but at least a logic. God's tech, well, that's just...
What? Just scan us. I don't see what the big deal is here.
And again, in turn, she'll ask you to stare into this data pad. And who goes first?
I'll go first because I don't care.
Okay, yeah. Mari steps up. She holds the data pad in front of your eyes. There's a brief flash, and you kind of blink hard and stare at it, and you find that she is looking directly into your eyes as this happens. And then after that occurs, she'll nod, say, "He's clean."
The same as at the weather control station, I assume. It's like that same effect.
Yeah.
Okay.
Seems to have something to do with, and you've had some experience with this, changelings are pretty easy to tell if they're not hiding their true nature based on the fact that their eyes are weird. It's different from changeling to changeling, but apparently this is some method to provoke eye change that might lapse them to reveal themselves.
I'll go next.
Okay. There's a brief flash. You blink hard, like a flashbulb going off in your face, and Commander Thorne will nod and move on to the next person.
I suppose that's me. I take off my spectacles.
And there's a flash.
Little lower,
Weird
please.
eyes.
And your implants tingle a little.
Ooh.
But she'll nod and move over to Florian.
Fine.
Flash, blink hard, nod, and then look over to your other two companions. Duma will pass, and then to the cog who you've brought aboard with you.
Right.
There's a moment of hesitation as Commander Thorne will look over her shoulder towards not Proctor Frost, but over to Captain Hexway, the tall Stetter man. Again, he's this imposing, nearly 7 foot tall individual with like dark tan skin and the pure black eyes of a Stetter. Will nod slowly towards the security commander, and she will move to scan the cogrish individual in your midst as well. She will stare defiantly, and her weird, like, bright yellow eyes that are vaguely similar to those of the Lycan security commander will not blink when she is scanned. Like, the photosynaptic response seems to not trigger in her, as though she's maybe super used to this happening to her. But the commander will nod and look back to the captain and say, "They're all clear." There's a relaxation from the security officers around you, and Proctor Frost will stare at Captain Hexway and say, "Is that enough for you now? Can we just resolve that we have our people back? Can we be happy in this moment, perhaps?"
That was Frost?
That was Proctor Frost, yeah. And Captain Hexway will let out a low harumph and then walk away without saying much. And most of the security team will depart as well.
Yeah, so what do we, I'm assuming we have to probably sign something or something to say that we're not dead.
Debrief, perhaps?
There will have to be a full debrief, of course, yes. We have officers who will be able to handle that. But in the meantime, and you see Dr. Naboda kind of rushing up towards Florian now, and they're wheeling out like this big wheelchair to you that they have constructed, and it's hovering. I say wheelchair, it's like a hovering chair that you can sit down in.
Does it look a lot like one of those flatbed carts at Costco?
It looks like Professor X's chair from the X-Men without the leg covering.
Okay. That's good. Okay.
like a hover recliner.
Florian will be like, "Oh no, I don't want any fuss. I can walk myself down to the med
Dr.
bay. This is
Naboda will
fine."
put a
Like,
hand on your chest and force you down into the chair.
Yeah, Fache is helping with that also. Like, no, you stupid. Just sit down.
It's specifically Taro sized. It's called a Grazy Boy.
fuck.
Uh, podcast command, delete read from podcast.
Control A read.
Yeah, Control A read, delete. Control F read.
Yes, my weekly reason to drink. Bring it on, yes.
But Proctor Frost will look towards you, Amari, and say, well, if you want to do your debrief now, I suppose you can, but we've all the time in the world.
I mean, does anyone have any objections to doing it now and getting it over with, or would you care for some sort of more formal?
No, honestly, this isn't... Nothing about this is going to be formal. This isn't exactly a normal situation we find ourselves in. We don't normally... well, I'm definitely going to have a word with Rigella. This is... I don't know if we have any forms for unannouncing death.
Yeah.
Happy to be the first. You could call them Octavian forms. You know, just like...
wait, but why is it just you? The rest of us also are part of it.
Very true, but there's a nice ring to it, you know. It rolls off the tongue. No? Okay. Well,
Does it?
I think so. I think so.
It could just as easily be called the Kelrakasa forms.
Nah, I've got... Those already exist.
There are 3 disparate Kelrakasa forms.
Mm-hmm.
What do they entail specifically?
Let's see here. Forgoing government pay, licensure to own military equipment outside of military use, and
Yep.
and a myriad of other small things, mostly parking.
Child
park wherever I want.
Yes.
Casual manslaughter. Florian will mutter under his breath.
Oh no, I don't have that. No, that one's not named after me.
That one's strictly off the books.
But Proctor Frost will say, if you want to do a debrief, you can handle that right now. He will definitely have some forms that need to be filled out, but that is all stuff that can be handled in due time. There's no rush for you to get back into the field, so, there's no reason to rush any of this.
I mean, the debrief, I'm fine with it happening now. The sooner we get that done, the sooner we get back to normal operation. Not necessarily us being back in the field, but everyone else going about their jobs.
Are we allowed to bring beverages for this debrief? Just out of curiosity.
I don't see why not.
Storm safe.
Excellent. I just ran out of our current stock merely hours ago. And
Lasted the perfect amount of time for the mission. That's awesome.
I'm very good at planning this kind of thing.
But see, the thing is, I imagine
I had
he
reserves.
didn't run out of. Yeah, he did run out of stock. He just ran out of the small amount that he allotted, and then he keeps the other pallet.
Called fraud.
Well,
and
Loco
or
fraud.
he had a lot left, and he just was like, "Well, I got to get rid of this before we get back."
Is Oswald the type to never, if he was to drive a car, he would never let it get below like a quarter tank? Because he's always going to know he's going to need more.
That sounds about right.
With 12 Loco, excuse me.
For many things, but yeah.
After this brief conversation, Proctor Frost will nod and dismiss basically everybody else. Dr. Naboda and her medics are going to wheel Florian down to the med lab.
I want to debrief. Like as he's carted away.
And Dr. Naboda will say, "No, you need rest. Your team commander can handle that."
I'll bring you something from the bar later.
No drinking,
Nothing-
says the doctor.
nothing helps an open wound. Like
I'll
something
sneak
that
you
thins
something
your
from the
blood.
bar later.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, Operations Director Silvaro will leave with a brief sideways look towards Amari.
Just a quick nod.
Mm-hmm. And pretty soon you're left only with Proctor Frost, who is leading you through the familiar halls of the massive ship of the Storm's Repose. He quickly shoos away many of the other gawkers, the other finder teams, like looking over the lips of their own shuttles and stuff at the team that has apparently returned from the dead.
Now, is Axel Amandito, was he here to see us, or is he just can't be bothered by something as miraculous as being brought back from the dead?
No, he's off on a mission.
Oh,
He probably didn't
He
even know
didn't
we were
even
dead.
know, yeah.
wait, who are those guys?
Like, yeah,
Yeah.
who are those people?
Proctor Frost will kind of have an ongoing chatter as he's leading you through the halls. He will apologize profusely for the fact that your situation was mistaken for being dead.
Well,
No, I mean, Duman did everything correctly. So,
And Duma is with you, by the way, kind of moving through the halls, as well as Vesnes. She's moving with you as well because she has nowhere else to go.
yeah.
But Proctor Frost, still, his language still pretty guarded, will go on to say that those listed as your next of kin were informed of your disappearance and probable deaths. That
shit.
is something that will need to be sorted out, as well as your reinstatement into the Foundation.
Yes, that would be good.
The team that is currently Oracle Zero will be shuffled around so
Kill
that
them.
you can reuse your team
Jesus.
assignment.
Oh man, they didn't even hang up our jerseys.
The
Come
Raptors.
on.
We didn't get jerseys. We suck. We got warm-up unis. That's it.
Wait. So is there a team that's worse than the team that gets the name Oracle Zero, or is that not how that works?
It's not necessarily how that works.
Okay.
I don't know if there's necessarily a hierarchy
Not like
per se.
The Oracle.
I mean, unless your
Zero.
team Hyper Alpha.
Yeah.
Well, they are the hierarchy.
Not even a regulation name.
And that's not even their official designation. Yeah.
No!
It's bullshit.
But that will be taken care of by other people. If you want, form letters can be sent out by Sapient Resources to reinform your next of kin of your reinstatement, if you don't want to handle that personally.
Were we confirmed dead, or was it just assumed dead?
A
Really?
letter was sent out saying you were missing in action.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was gonna be like, it would be really irresponsible if they were like, yeah, we think they're dead, but we're just gonna tell their families they are. Better safe
So-
They've
than
been gone for
sorry.
3 days. They're dead.
Whether or not your families had you declared dead is up to them.
Yeah. And up to the various governments of where they live.
Of course,
So
it wouldn't be
yeah.
official until the end of the year, but
Oh man, I won't be able to file my taxes next year.
Yeah, I
Was
literally
legally
didn't.
dead for tax purposes.
Yeah, I literally didn't. I don't have any. Didn't put any next of kin. So sorry about the problems y'all are having.
I should probably be the one to handle that in my own account. It might be the best way to handle it.
Trying to recall, Mike. I believe I sent Senator Halla a notification saying the job had been taken care of once we finished with our objective.
Mhm.
Right? Okay, cool. Just making sure that's correct in my series of events.
Yeah, and
Cool.
you were declared missing in action before that happened. So
Mm-hmm. Yep. Theoretically, people
Yep.
have been informed of my resurrection.
Maybe.
Well, this will be interesting.
And eventually you are led to a small conference room, and once you are inside, Proctor Frost will turn to the lot of you and then stand awkwardly at the end of the table and kind of look towards Vesnis and say, "All right, who is this now?"
Vesnis, would you care to introduce yourself, or...
And she will do exactly that. She will step forward and say, "I am Vesnis Rosek. I was stranded. My ship damaged by a warp malfunction. And your finder team managed to rescue me." And Proctor Frost will nod slowly, his eyes narrowing slightly. But he will eventually nod a little bit more deeply and then say, yes, I think that will work. Whatever it is you dealt with out there, that Godstech, yes?
Mhm.
Yes.
Was it the same Godstech being used by the children of Aetir? I was
Hard to
vaguely
say,
kept
really.
apprised of this
I
situation.
mean, right,
Fine.
yeah, like we did tell him that we
No.
were still alive after we were declared missing in action, and we were like, hey, be cool about this.
Well, here's the question. Is this sort of debrief thing being, like, recorded, or is this, like, we're just
Nice.
hanging out in a room?
As far as you can tell, he got you somewhere private, and now he's trying to have a conversation and trying to suss out precisely
Okay.
what the
Because-
deal is.
I mean, but that's the thing is like the whole Children of Aetir thing he was privy to, but he
Yeah.
wasn't privy to the rest of it.
And what I want to know is whether or not this debrief is for show, for like official purposes, or if this is just an off the books, total, complete, like, hey, we know you're in the know. Let's talk about this.
It
I mean,
seems
I
to
figure
be,
he wouldn't let
yeah.
anything that sensitive get.
The fact that he full on mentioned the children of Aetir probably,
Yeah.
designates it as at
A
least.
cash hangout.
Yeah, exactly.
Basically,
I
he's
wanna
looking
say
over at
anything.
Vesnis and being like, "She cool?"
Oh,
Yeah, she's cool.
I mean,
Yeah,
we
to
can tell
blow
her
up
about
our
the Children
ship.
of Aetir thing. It's like they're taken care of, so it's fine now.
Yeah. They're non-factor.
but to answer your question, yes, it did. It was one of the items used by the children of Aetir, or assumed they used it. It's
Yeah.
hard to tell.
Right. I'm hoping there are no lasting effects.
Yeah, same.
Ah, I see.
Not that
I
we
mean, there
can
haven't been,
detect.
but like, I hope there won't be.
Right.
Pretty for me, anyway. Everybody else good?
I feel
Feeling great.
fine.
Murray didn't even use it, I don't think.
No, not my thing.
Well, that's all well and good. The time distortion that you did experience offers a very convenient cover story for everything else you've been doing.
But the Children of Aetir have been taken care of, and the God's tech they were using disposed of.
Good. I'm sure the Archproctor might be in touch sooner rather than later, unless you've already debriefed.
Not since completing the mission.
You spoke with Mr. Zen afterwards.
Yeah.
I did. Then yes, since completing the mission.
Right. Well, as of right now, I have nothing else for you. I was very sincere when I said there is nothing that needs your attention at the moment. I think it would be for the best if you all took some time to rest, recuperate, get your feet underneath you, and reestablish yourselves here.
Yeah, what happened to like our rooms and all of our stuff that was in our rooms?
Oh, great question.
Did they have to take a biohazard team to get
We
Oswald's
will
room
be
cleaned
sure
up?
to reinstate your stuff to your new quarters.
So it's safe. It's all intact.
We wait at least until the next of kin can collect any belongings that were being held for agents of ours who are no
Excellent.
longer available.
Well, that's
So
Has
at
anyone
the moment
come-
they are in storage.
excellent.
Has anyone
Good.
come to collect?
No,
Perfect. Done and dusted. Great. Cool. Awesome.
though. And he'll turn towards Oswald.
Mm-hmm.
We were expecting to meet with a member of your family at our next destination. They had hoped to meet with Storm's Repose and collect your belongings.
Well, that's well and good. And perhaps now it's not entirely necessary. Did they say which one it was specifically?
I'm sorry?
Which member of the family? Did they say who it was?
I'd have to go and check with Sapient Resources, a sibling, I think.
Oh, that's better. Okay, excellent. Who should I speak to in regards to that? I can handle any communication with the family if need be. No need to bring anybody else in on that.
I believe, and he will pull out a data pad and start tapping on it a little bit, and he will say, yes, here we are. Well, that can't be right.
Yes.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm sorry, I'm not... It says here this communication is from Oswald Octavian Theophilus III. I thought that was you.
Oh dear. Oh no. It was me.
Oh, your whole situation is really fucked up, my man.
Well, that answers some questions, but perhaps
Just
where did that drink go, by the way? Didn't we say something about drinks?
Shay puts a hand on Oswald's little feather, weird Birdman feather shoulder, oh, I'm so sorry.
We all know a little bit, enough to know that he has effectively been replaced by a sibling. Right?
Yeah, he's not secretive.
Okay.
I would not say.
Yeah, at this point,
Oh,
you
we
would be
need-
aware of the fact that the third in his name is not a denotation of generation, but rather
No.
rank.
Ranking.
Yeah.
Oh, we need to get you to the Giants. What's that? The Giants? The Blue Giant. We need to get you to the Blue
Mhm.
Giants. That.
I'm sorry, I'm a little confused. This is you or a sibling?
This is a sibling. This
Oh,
is
and you
a
have the
sibling.
same name.
Yes.
I see. Well,
Aston answered.
well, they had made their intention to meet us at our next destination. After we were done here in a few turns, we were going to head to a bit of a personnel transfer at Gobwar, which you would all know as the Ogre homeworld.
Oh shit! If they are now the third, that means no, I think I know which one this is. Oh no! Oh jeez!
I want it to be Oswald, but with a cape and a twirly mustache. Just the evil twin somehow.
Tying folks to railroad tracks.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes. So, in about 5 turns was the plan. We would be heading to Gobwar, so perhaps you would care to get in touch with them before then.
Yes, I think that would be. I have some communication to. Yes. Where did that drink go? I just. Is it just? Should I just go and grab one, or I can wait. I can wait.
All right.
I'll get you to the Blue Giant as soon as we're done. The minute we're done, I'm
Excellent.
gonna pick you up and cradle you and just run.
You
the
raised
the
me
blue
up.
giant. Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Well,
Is Shay the wind beneath your wings?
Yeah. Let me teleport you just this once. Or
Levitate.
levitate you just this once.
Fine, do it.
Because he doesn't have like, they're not like feathered, a la like halucha, right?
There's, I mean, they are feathered, but they're not wings per se.
Right. They're more like
they're-
arms with just some like plumage. It's not like they're not
actually-
hanging down like a glider suit.
I just downloaded some reference that I was going to use to draw
Mm.
Chaboy.
it's more like, think about like the fuzz on a chick.
Yeah, beans.
Hmm.
Maybe this one will work.
Or
Oh,
like
there we go.
downy feathers. They're not like
Oh,
big-
okay.
winged, like Archaeopteryx looking things.
Okay.
Yeah.
so not
See, like
the-
this is like, yeah. The reference image here has a whole bunch of feathers.
Yeah.
Listeners. So even if he attempted to like glide down, he wouldn't be
no.
able to, because this is not
Mhm.
representational of the lack of feathers.
Okay.
Yeah, and also he
Gotcha,
does have
gotcha,
like
gotcha.
hands. It's not just like little
Mhm.
dew claws.
Right,
sticking out of
exactly.
wings.
He's saying he's adorable.
I mean, he is adorable.
I mean, he is adorable. He's only unsettling in like as soon as he opens his mouth.
Emotionally and mentally, and yeah, but just visibly very adorable.
Mm-hmm.
Little vest
We
and
love him.
everything.
Oh,
As Proctor Frost kind of gives you all the once over, he says, "Well, if there's nothing else, again, I would highly recommend you all get some rest. And you can begin work again whenever you see fit, but again, there is no rush. The Cole Foundation is here to support you in whatever way you need.
Appreciated.
Thank you.
I suppose your rescued companion, Miss Rosek, was it?" And Vesnes will let out a little... Sounds almost like a little growl. She seems upset by something. But she'll say through slightly gritted teeth, "Yes, that is me." Proctor Frost will ask her if she intends to stay here, and she will give you all a questioning look.
Kind of shrug at her like it's up to you.
You're more than welcome to stay.
If our agreed upon activities are going to continue,
Yeah.
Of course.
then yes, I will stay. And Proctor Frost will nod and say that he will find accommodations for her as well. And if there's anything special she needs, she has only to ask, and she asks for a new set of clothes because she's still wearing the flight suit that she got knocked out in. And Proctor Frost would let her know that that can easily be taken care of. Quartermaster will have anything she asks for. And then you are all left to your own devices. You have 5 turns until the Storm's Repose leaves the Noku system. 5 turns until you're fairly certain at around that time a certain Aegis Tech ship will also be arriving in the system. But in that time, you have some downtime to rest up and do whatever it is you like. So, up to you. When do you want these? What do you want to be doing in those 5 days?
I will go first because my scene directly cuts back to Florian in the med bay. Yeah.
Yeah, do it. So, meanwhile, in the med bay.
Because I, like, as scans are happening, it's becoming distinctly apparent that though Florian is, like, kind of bloody and has bloody bandages, he doesn't have a gunshot wound anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, like, a completely... Yeah, it's fine. It's just, like, as if he would put... Like, his clothes are ripped and there's stuff, but he's totally fine.
Dr.
the time
Noboto
they
will
get
be
back.
like probing the spot where an injury should be according to the wear and tear on your clothing, and is just like, I do not understand. How is this possible?
I mean, you're sure there's nothing there? It was like a kind of, I mean, it wasn't a through and through, but like, yeah, there was a little.
Are you feeling
And then-
lightheaded or faint?
And he'll just kind of like pat himself down and shake his head like, no.
Did another individual bleed all over you?
No, I mean, like, there was and then suddenly, like, remembering that we have this whole fake scenario that doesn't account for like a gunshot wound. I fell on a very sharp rock.
I told Amari to shoot me because I could dodge it.
Oh wait, no, that's much better. I told Amari I could shoot. I told Amari, so I have very fast reflexes, and I told the captain to shoot me, and I didn't have as fast of reflexes as I thought I did.
You asked your team leader to shoot you, and he did.
Yeah, but don't worry. Like, it's... I'm so sorry, Reed.
God, it's so
Yeah, it
nice
was
knowing
just-
Amari.
It was just
Can't
an
wait for my
experiment.
court martial.
Because,
It's gonna
like,
be good.
You keep it's an aid foundation. You don't get court-martialed out of that. But as you can see, like, I'm fine. I think it maybe just like winged me. It was my fault. He didn't want to do it, but I jumped in the way.
Then what was he shooting at?
A lizard.
I see. Well, Mr. Florian, it is in my medical opinion that you appear to have 0 injuries, despite the clear evidence of someone's blood on your person. I would recommend you take a shower, and perhaps throw away those clothes.
Can do. Good.
As she is taking notation in their data pad.
Just bye, miss. I think we've just established now that it's become a pattern that Florian can't fucking lie at all. Apparently.
Can Olivia lie? It's okay. You don't. Is that a lie?
Yes.
Okay. Either way, it's good shit. I love
So
it.
you are eventually allowed to leave the med lab.
And then I think, like, goes and checks and is very confused as to why he doesn't have a gunshot wound anymore. And probably freaks out about that a little bit.
All right. So in that 5-day downtime, anything else anyone wants to accomplish?
Is there a sort of ship-wide, I don't want to say like news network, but some sort of like a news network? I don't know.
There would be inside the local metanet some kind of bulletin board, effectively. Think like a next door kind of thing.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
There is a whole section of it dedicated to like days since Axel Amandito has forgotten who I am. For everyone.
I wanted to have a small scene with whoever runs that, if it's a single person or whatever, coming to get the scoop on the first team that's ever come back from the dead.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's maybe not a single person who runs it. It is just like a message board kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But there would be a great deal of interest in the Finder team that has come back from the dead. And another Avia individual would like to run interview you, essentially. He is apparently effectively a blogger. And you suddenly realize that, like, Oswald is very short for an Avia. This individual is, like, 5 feet tall, a little over. So like perfectly average height. Maybe a little less like dinosaurian in appearance. Got more of a beak that kind of like clicks when he talks.
Mm-hmm.
Something you would know about Avia is that their species diversity is some of the largest of any of the sapients in the Dragon's Wake. They have a lot of visual differences, even though they're all the same species.
I like birds of paradise.
Yeah. I mean, they can range from anywhere between more bird-like to more dinosaur-like in appearance. But they all have basic, like, theropod features with, like, tail coming out the back, kind of reverse bent legs, and, like, arms that kind of, like, tuck into the side, and usually a snoot of some kind. But sometimes it terminates in a beak, sometimes it terminates in, like, a muzzle.
And then, I mean, like, there's nothing else in the galaxy that looks like an Avia anyway. So it's like, well, you're not any of the other species, so there you go.
Yeah, they're the
Avia.
only reptile-based, like, non-mammalian sapient species other than Akasi, who are super weird. But he will love to get a sit-down with you.
Yeah, I'm going to have it just be like a normal, like, hey, we'll go out and get a cup of coffee kind of thing, and we can talk about it.
Mm-hmm. His name is Turmeric Vodalian,
That's a cool name.
and he is very excited to speak with you.
Well, it's nice to meet you. Not every day you get to sit down and talk about coming back from the dead.
Oh, no, I should hope not. As far as I can tell, there's really only, well, very few other examples of folks coming back from the dead, like well, obviously you weren't even dead to begin with, I should think.
You are correct. You know, I'm glad it was us too. You know, I've got a good team.
Oh, yes, Oracle Zero. Some would say that they are ranked one of the lowest in effective finder teams for the Cole Foundation, but obviously they have more gumption than is perhaps reported before.
You know, gumption comes from all places, both the high-ranking teams like Hyper Alpha and us lower-end teams.
Hyper Alpha. Well, they are a little past gumption, I should think. Competence at the highest level.
I completely agree.
Of course you do.
Well, do you have anything specific you'd like to go over about our return, or just talk about anything you like?
Well, the ship is all aflurry about how you somehow found your way into the possession of God's tech, or at least contact with it. Is there any truth to these allegations?
You know, God's tech is a weird kind of catch-all for a lot of mysterious old technology. Whatever we came into contact with, time just didn't seem to work right.
Interesting. Now, when you say time did not work right, do you mean that seconds felt like minutes, minutes felt like hours, or was you perhaps traveling backwards in time at a faster rate than the rest of the universe was moving forward, something to that effect?
It's hard to tell, really. When you're in the moment, everything feels normal, but once you're outside of it, things are different. Apparently, time has continued to move on while you've been frozen, essentially stuck.
Fascinating. And what exactly was it that you came in contact with?
We don't really know.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, have you ever interacted with God's tech?
Not well. I've seen it from a distance, of course. I've been to Vast Plane. I've seen the Sun Forge there.
Right. Can you tell me? Can anyone tell you exactly how the Sun Forge works, or just that it does?
No. The internal processes are still a mystery. It seems to absorb radiant sun-based energy and outputs it as power in some fashion. No one's quite sure how that works.
Unfortunately for us, whatever we came into contact with, some sort of mechanism, some sort of space, whether it be some large room, we don't know. The environment we traversed seemed to alter time, making us appear to our shuttle pilot, Duma, to perceive us as missing in action for an extended period of time.
And where
For
was
us, it
this
was only
space?
moments. Well, God's tech can't be given that kind of information to everyone.
Oh, yes, of course. I totally understand. Want to keep that close to the vest. He says, tapping his vest.
How nice is his vest?
It's okay.
Does Oswald have him beat?
Oswald's is more experienced.
Okay. Well stained.
It's got
character.
Character, yes. It is. It has a lot of character. And Turmeric will continue by asking, do you think you and your fellow teammates would be coming across this sort of thing if you hadn't gone on this mission? Do you think this is a constant danger that the Finder teams face?
Well, it's always a factor, right? Anytime you're going out looking for to bring aid to a situation, and we know very little about the creators of God's tech. So wherever we find it, we tend to kind of isolate it and make sure it's secure. We could find stuff like that on any of the known planets. So it is a factor, but not something I think anyone should be particularly worried about. That's why we exist, small teams, to go find things like this rather than sending out large groups of people to kind of bend to the whims of whatever God's tech is there.
I suppose that's fair. How would you compare it to the God's tech on, say, the Jin Gates at Dowthul or Jan Zithoth?
Well, it's hard to compare, really. Stopping time for the individuals around this artifact doesn't seem to pose any particular immediate benefit, whereas the Jin Gates allow large expanse of travel instantaneously, allowing help for a larger swath of people.
That's fair, and I suppose you didn't actually see what it was that affected you. Mm-hmm. So you really have no idea what happened.
Most of our information is brought from those outside of the effect.
Ah, I see. So I should be talking to your pilot then.
Iduma would be an excellent person to talk to. That being said, he is very occupied with a lot of his duties.
I see. And so, if I were to ask to speak with him, he would most likely say no.
You're more than welcome to ask. He's a quite friendly individual.
Well, I might just do that then. One last question, if you don't mind. I don't want to be taking up too much of your time.
No problem.
Would you say that it is the duty of a finder team to investigate these sorts of things, or simply report on them, find them, as it were?
Well, our job as a finder team is to find them. So that kind of goes with the title. That being said, if certain things pose an immediate threat to people, it is not without reasoning for finder teams to act in a situation deemed, reasonable. In this situation, we found something, and we are reporting on its existence.
Well, I suppose the Oracle Zero was just happy they had a hero of the Shattering to handle the situation as appropriately as you did then.
Happy to help.
Standing on the side of the room doing nothing.
Taking my helmet off repeatedly, seeing how long I can hold my breath, putting it back on. Just, weird. Yeah.
And yeah, that is your interview with Turmeric Vodalian is one that circulates around the ship. There is like a hollow of the interview. It's not like it's a written thing. It is somebody watches the hollow of the two of you having this interaction.
I do want to make sure that I do reference the coffee shop that we're in as my favorite coffee shop on the Storm's Repose.
It is much appreciated by the barista behind the counter.
Yep. Perfect. And just like that, we got a little bit of Mass Effect in here. Perfect.
Yeah, just a little.
Just a little bit, just a smidge, Mike, just a smidge. We've never touched on any of the themes in the Mass Effect series.
Of
at
course
all.
not. Of course not. Because biotics and etherics have nothing to do with each other.
They don't. They're definitely different. They're
Uh-huh.
distinctly and legally different.
Totally different space magic.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What else are people up to during your downtime?
I don't necessarily know when in the 5 turns this happens, but I mean, obviously not right away, but Shay would try to catch Second Lieutenant Halcyon of Furthest Thought.
Cool.
Yes, the Wizard Class B Halcyon of Furthest Thought, the Elvish Navigator and Comm Specialist aboard the Storm's Repose. She is easy enough to track down. She pretty much sticks to the bridge of the ship, and when she's not there, she is in the isolation chamber that is near the center of the Storm's Repose. And since you're in a stationary position and not warping and moving about, she is more accessible now than she might be otherwise. So yeah, tracking her down. Do you want to try to meet her at her personal quarters, set up a meeting somewhere? Because like there's a shipboard communication system. You can very easily like shoot a message to her.
Yeah. Yeah, like I'd like to talk to her somewhere private, if that's okay.
Sure. And she is aware of your situation, at least.
Yeah.
The whole wizard situation.
Yeah.
And yeah, she is absolutely willing to talk to you, and she would invite you to the isolation chamber that you visited before, near the center of the Storm's Repose. The central spire of the Storm's Repose. Remember, the ship itself is like a large upside-down bowl with a great many spires that dangle down from the underside of it. And there's one large central spire that contains the bridge and this isolation chamber and a lot of the core functionality of the Storm's Repose as a ship, as opposed to just a roving city. So near the center of that central spire is a chamber completely cut off from the etheric rhythms of the ship itself. And that is the first thing you notice when you pass through the door, is just how quiet everything suddenly feels. And you weren't quite aware of just how omnipresent the background hum of etherics was to your senses until it is suddenly cut off. And it's that moment when you like walk into a room that has been really thoroughly sound baffled, and suddenly it's just really, really quiet, and you didn't even realize how loud everything was until there is a moment of absolute silence. And for the first time in as long as you can remember, maybe since you were here last, but even then, it seems as though the background noise has gotten louder since then. So when it's gone, it's really just this abrupt of nothing. And you're left with this sudden sensation that like, oh wow, there was so much that you were actively or even subconsciously tuning out that you didn't realize. So there's this moment of relief when suddenly you can just relax and not have to be vaguely aware of everything that's going on around you. And you find Halcyon sitting in kind of a lotus pose near the center of this fairly bland white room. There are several seats, might be the wrong word, protrusions that can be used for many, like sitting or reclining. It is a weirdly shaped egg-like room. The walls curve in such a way that walking in this place is uncomfortable. It makes your ankles ache a little bit. And she seems unaffected by that as she drifts upward and floats gently, her feet not touching the ground. And you can see that she is barefoot and relaxed in a loose robe-like garment that covers kind of a skin-tight bodysuit that comes down to her knees and to her elbows, but leaves her calves and feet and forearms and hands exposed. She is a fair-skinned individual with these bright purple eyes and the telltale ears of an elf, and hair kept relatively short, comes into a tight, kind of like bushy ponytail at the back of her head, almost more like a samurai knot at the back. And she will nod at you graciously as you come into the room.
And Shay, seeing her float, is like, oh yeah, I can do that now. It's like, oh, my ankles. I don't want to like impose or anything, because like you have a job of your own. But so like I left Wezern is all kind of early for my own reasons. But I didn't have a lot of need to use the kind of inherent powers I had before becoming a Finder team member. And lately, I've been kind of just throwing myself at stuff and discovering things just sort of as they happen. And I became Doors recently. And then it just sort of really fucked me up super bad. Like someone had to just physically throw me in a deprivation chamber. And that kind of thing seems really dangerous. And so, like, if you have time, it would be cool to, like, know some more stuff about being a wizard, I guess.
Fascinating.
And again, yeah, like, you don't know me very well, and I don't want to, like, hey, teach me stuff, stranger, but...
Yes. Mr. Zinn has informed me of your situation, at least in brief. I was wondering, you say you left Wezrin Azald.
Yeah.
You are asking me to do something that they are better suited for.
No, maybe this was a bad idea. And Shay, like, turns around and just starts to leave.
And you see the door close in front of you.
I don't know why I thought that wasn't going to happen.
You wish to learn, young wizard, and yet you defy the place that would teach you. If I am to impart any teachings, I must at least know why you turned your back on our traditions and the niche we have carved for ourselves in this galaxy. Being a graduate of Wezrin Azald would offer you more opportunities than perhaps any other being in the galaxy, and yet you denied yourself.
Why do you work here as a navigator? How did you get this opportunity?
I, too, was born a wizard. Bereft of clan, I was raised on Wezrin Azald. Among our people, I developed a knack for navigating the astral sea. My studies led me down that path. The interest I had was perhaps selfish, and I grew to realize that in time. My activities prior to working with the Cole Foundation, I regret some of the decisions I made, and I am attempting, in some small part, to make recompense. I chose the life of a navigator for selfish reasons. I do so now for others.
I was still in school when the shattering happened. I saw the extent. I learned the extent of what the Empire did. I didn't want to be a person that needed to have regrets about the choices I made. And you know as well as I that we don't get a choice, at least not right away.
Interesting.
So I may have been more selfish than you, and maybe I did make the wrong decision, but I couldn't be a party to it.
Then you are braver than most. This is not something to be ashamed of. My second question, before I agree to anything, why hide what you are?
It can be dangerous, being a wizard, and also not being trained. It's easy to get taken advantage of, to get roped into something. I suppressed what abilities and powers I had so that I could build up other skills and get somewhere at least a little bit safe. And then when I came to the Coal Foundation, it was just force of habit at that point.
And now?
I'm not sure I want to hide it anymore. I feel safer. I feel like if someone were to try to use me for what I can do, I have people that would watch my back. I don't feel alone anymore.
That feeling, that connection. Many of us, elvish wizards, go our lives without realizing that that is what we truly seek, because it is something we are deprived of by the happenstance of our birth. You are wiser than some who would have centuries on you in age for realizing that so early. I sought connection by becoming more than myself. You say you became a door. Has this happened at any other time? Have you become other things?
Yes, but the circumstances were mitigating. It wasn't me doing the becoming, if that makes sense. There was a conduit in between.
It usually begins with something simple, like a door, a light. Those unlucky enough to be in violent circumstances, perhaps it is a weapon. This connection that you've made, this extension, do not think of it as becoming the thing. That thing becomes you, while you are still yourself, even if you could not quite grasp all of the sensory data at the time. You became, for at least a little while, a clan of one. Yourself, this door, this is the curse of the elvish wizard, as well as a blessing. We are alone, but with training and time and dedication, we can find again that thing that was denied us at birth. Communion. Belonging. It can be upsetting at first, and if you are not careful, you can lose yourself to it. There are navigators, especially among the Empire, who would not even be considered, perhaps, sentient any longer. Little more than a piece of the ship that has become them.
Shay will shudder.
It is easy to get lost in such sensations, to feel vast and powerful. It is, and she will kind of like look around at the walls of the place you're in, and you think she is looking past the walls at the vastness of the Storm's Repose itself, as she says, it is not a sensation one discards very easily. And she'll look back to you. But in those moments, in that connection, there is wonder. Mr. Zinn showed you the astral sea. That is a piece of it. The ebb and flow of aether folding throughout the galaxy. To know that you are a part of it while also being apart from it. Forging yourself a vessel to move through those tides, and perhaps bring others with you. There's nothing quite like it, and to try to describe the experience to non-wizards, they make certain drugs in an attempt to replicate the sensation. None have come close. The beginning of what you're starting here, it is a dangerous path, and one I do not feel I am qualified to guide you upon.
But I think it would be more dangerous for me to continue on without knowing even anything. It wasn't that I was even trying to be the doors. I was just trying to open them, and I went too far on accident.
It was a moment of great need, I assume.
Yes.
That is how it begins. You need something to be real. You shape reality with your will. The will of a wizard is a terrible, powerful thing. If not kept in check by training and diligence, there is no limit to what it can do. No limit. And a creature without limits is a monster.
I know.
Did you learn the history of Obelisk in your time at Wezrin Izald?
Yes. We also, it was also like a ghost story, too, so some of the facts and exaggerations may have gotten mixed up. I probably still have my notes, to be honest. I could dig those out.
It is something of a ghost story now, but rest assured, it is a cautionary tale that is all too true. Elvish wizards, driven by their need for power, by their need for connection, and by just pure need, with little other reason beside, coming together to form something amazing, spectacular, an elvish mothership the likes of which the galaxy had never seen. And in their folly, they were struck down. The Dragon's Wake teaches us many cruel lessons.
I understand that. I don't care about power for its own sake. It's part of the reason I left in the first place. I can't get into the details, but if I hadn't tried to open those doors, if I hadn't needed to open those doors so badly, the deaths of myself and my companions would be on my head.
And so you strive for the right reasons as you see them. I don't say this in an attempt to frighten you away from what you are beginning here. I say this to frighten you into knowing the possibilities of where you go next. Bravery is not the absence of fear, it is the willingness to act despite it. I provide context here so that you may make an informed decision.
I understand. I'm afraid that I'm becoming more powerful without consciously wanting it. And I'm afraid I won't be able to control it.
As I said, limits. You're beginning to realize your own. And you're beginning to learn the hardest lesson put upon any wizard, graduate of Wezrin Izald or no. Those who do not set limits upon themselves are doomed. So what limits you set to yourself, that is your own decision to make. I could answer what questions you have. I may even be able to teach you some things, but I am not a teacher. I do this, and she'll gesture around at the isolation chamber you find yourselves in. Not because this place is the most comfortable, or because it is where I would choose to spend my time. I do this to stop myself. To stop from becoming like those I have seen within the Empire, that which I might have become, had I not wanted to be party to such acts any longer.
All I can ask is for whatever help you're willing to give me. I'll figure the rest out on my own.
And you have resources beyond me. The one who calls himself Mr. Zinn is a powerful wizard in his own right, and he has interesting contacts beside.
That is true. I'm starting to let myself trust him more.
He is worth trust. He has proven himself time and again. The shattering left many scars. Yourself, even if you did not participate in the war, you feel some of it.
I will nod.
Some of us were more directly involved. Mr. Zinn, not least of which.
Yeah.
Your own team leader, not least of which.
Yep.
I will help where I can. Others will help where they can.
Thank you, Halcyon. I appreciate you taking time to talk with me and being honest. Even brutally so.
If you had remained in Wezron-Azald, you would learn that, at least among wizards, there is no other way to be. Lying to a wizard is folly.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll let you get back to it.
And if you ever need refuge from the tide, you're welcome here.
I might just take you up on that. It's getting louder and louder out there. Every day.
And this is only the beginning.
I'll see you around. Shay will leave.
And the door will open for you, seemingly on its own. And you leave her in her isolation chamber at the center of the storm's repose. At some point in the next 5 turns, Oswald, you
Yes.
are mostly left to your own devices.
Yes. I think originally heading back, Oswald had fully planned on maybe posting some new articles on the archive. He was
Concerning
going to,
what?
He was originally planning on leaving out maybe specific details. I think the thing that he'd probably feel the most comfortable with, probably start with the Muskers. That could at least be remotely removed from the rest of the although I think he would check to see. Okay, so he was planning on writing some articles. However, the news about a recent demotion, I suppose, is the best way to put it, and a need to contact the family to let them know that he is no longer alive or is no longer dead, is distracting. He took it upon himself to contact. However, he is uncertain as to how to handle that. And so he is trying to figure it out, spending most of his time at the Blue Giant, talking with Hum, somebody who it's hard to tell, but just about everybody else seems to like give off sort of annoyed energy around Oswald. Hum seems is able to go with the flow a little bit. Oswald really likes that about Hum.
Yeah,
Hum is a good listener.
even-keeled Arakasi, humming the songs of stars long dead, or Hum, as they are known. The thoughtful proprietor of the Blue Giant is more than happy to listen to your woes. As they bustle about in their containment suit, little valves releasing every once in a while, as wispy tendrils of thick, smoky air will grab bottles and mix drinks.
And Oswald sits at the bar staring at his drink. It is his go-to beverage.
It is a 19-ounce can of 12 Loco, the garish, brightly colored logo slapped on the side with a tiny little Vorpal Corp emblem at the bottom of the can, signifying the creator of the beverage.
And as he stares at this beverage, tell me, Hum, do you have... I don't know if this is rude of me to ask, but do you have family?
Oh, yeah. Got a couple of parents and a sibling. Well, sort of.
Sort of. Complicated, I guess.
Not super complicated. Well, you see, Akasi parents are a lot like the rest of y'all's parents, except there's always the off chance that when they're having kids, they give up their physical form so their kids can exist, and that kind of happened to one of mine. So I guess you could say I still got parents, and they'll always be a part of me.
That is interesting. Do you still see your sibling at all?
No,
No.
but they're out there, doing pretty good, I think. I'd know if they weren't.
Do you think that... do you think that family is... Do you think that although your parents or parent is now a part of you, do you get the sense that they are proud of what you do here in Dragon's Wake upon this mighty vessel?
Well, pride's a funny thing, yeah? Speaks to a level of acceptance and a level of... Well, what's the opposite of pride,
Shame?
Yeah, that's a good word. So, to have one, you'd reasonably expect to have the other, yeah?
Yes?
So what happens if there is no shame, no pride? There is simply acceptance.
I don't have the faintest idea.
Yeah, I think they're proud. I could probably go ask, but seems rude. Interrupt whatever they're doing. When I can just accept it, knowing they're probably okay.
Yes. My family is currently under the impression that I have deceased on the job. I'm sure you heard about our disappearance.
It's quite the hubbub here in the old Blue Giant when y'all came back from the dead.
Right.
Most folks who make contact with God's tech and get swallowed up like that, well, they don't usually come back.
You're right. They don't usually come back. You could say it's a 1 in a million chance of returning from such a dangerous exposure.
I'd say 1 in 723,422, actually, but that's maybe just rounding off.
Well, I'll have to take it. Yes. A brief exposure to the wonders, the dangers of God's tech. There's something there. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Perhaps if I were to, of course, be honest, I could never be dishonest with my family, but I've been struggling with how to bring up the fact that I am currently alive and to put my best foot forward back into their awareness. But I think you're onto something. I need to go put something together. I need to write a response before I call. Thank you very much. Can I get another one of these? And I hold up the drink. This time to go, if that would be all right.
Well, I suppose everyone gets one I just came back from the dead drink. Just don't get caught out in the halls with it, and if you do, it didn't come from here.
Of course. It never does, and it never will.
One of his little gas tendrils will reach under the bar to the little fridge that, again, they're not pouring these out, it's just like the little fridge underneath the bar that has the cans of 12 Loco.
And how do these get stocked on the ship, just out of curiosity? Is there a finite amount upon the vessel? Or,
I would assume I leave most of the requisitions to the quartermaster. Honestly, you're one of the only reasons we keep as many in stock as we do.
It's an acquired taste. Not many outside of, avian kind drink it all that often, I've noticed.
It's become relatively popular, what with you drinking it and all. People see you drinking that big can, they ask what's up, they take a sip, and there's been a few people who've gotten a liking to it.
Oh, well, that's good. Spreading the good word, I guess, unintentionally. Once again, you're. I don't know how many people thank you for your diligent work here, but frankly, you get me through some very difficult times, and well, I'm happy to be back, and I'm happy to be back into this establishment. But like I said, I do have to. I have to go let my family know I'm alive. Thank you.
You do you, man.
And Oswald is going to take his beverage to his room, which is. Oh shit! Wait hold on. What my stuff is the quartermaster has it? Is it correct?
Your stuff has been delivered to your new quarters.
Oh, good. Thank goodness.
Most of it is still in boxes.
Well, so yeah, he's going to go back to his quarters and not. I think he wants not to call, but like he wants to craft the message very particularly, very letting them know that he is in fact okay, and he was believed to be. I mean, basically just going over like dealing with some very dangerous, exotic gods tech. First that has ever been observed within, as far as I know, has been observed within Dragon's Wake and documented. He made a tremendous discovery involving God's tech. Yes. And he will be publishing an article on it very soon. He apologizes for... I apologize for not contacting you sooner, but circumstances being what they were, I got back to you as soon as possible.
And who precisely are you sending this to?
This is to Septimus.
Okay. So you're sending this to Oswald Septimus Theophilus the First?
Yes.
Very good.
That's the one who needs to know. And he will get started with writing. He was going to do something about Muskers, but now he feels motivated to document most of his experience with the what did we call it? The not the Universal TiVo. What did we call it?
The Atlas.
The Atlas. Perhaps leaving out the weird crystalline individual, but an object that seems infinitely complex, able to track just about everything within
space
Dragon's
and
Wake.
time. Yeah,
space and time, as well as having some weird temporal effect on space and time itself. Its mere presence bending that, and yeah, he will furiously type away information and then post on, or I guess send to his editor.
And are you trying to have the article published before or after you send the letter?
I send the letter first. Ooh, no, but that is a good question. No, I send the letter first, letting him know that the article will drop soon, but wanted to give him a heads up to just let him know to look out for it, you know.
Okay. You send the article off, and usually the editors get back to you in very quick order, within a 12-hour period, generally. There are editors all over the galaxy. It's their job to comb through these articles and make sure they're good and organized and posted as quick as possible. The archive is one of the foremost receptacles of information in the galaxy for general use of the public, so it's good to have it updated as quickly as possible. You wait. And you wait. And you wait. 12 hours pass. 20 hours pass. Soon it's been more than a day, and near the end of these 5 turns, there's still no clearance of this article that you've written. When you go back and you double check and you make sure that the confirmation it was seen by an editor, there is no record of you sending any article to the archive.
I remember sending it, I think.
And you go back and you look on your own datapad, and all of your notes there are gone. The video you took is gone.
No. Where did it... I have several copies. Oh, perhaps I should check with Kala. I gave her... what about the Project Chimera information? Like the sort of the stockpile of information that we found.
Gone.
Is that... I need to find Kala and see if perhaps she has a backup of information that I can procure very briefly for... yes. I guess I'll try and find Kala.
You find her in short order. She's up near engineering. She's working on the MetaNet security systems for the Storm's Repose.
And I would imagine Oswald comes up just a mess of anxiety. Kala, hello, hi, hello. Do you have a moment to talk briefly? Or are you in the middle of something very important? I'm sure you're in the middle of something very important, but just wanted to chat, to catch up, see how things are and whatnot.
What do you need?
Well, I required your assistance on a project that I've been working on, and I wanted to get some notes on that. If you know what I mean.
Yes. Right.
And he looks anxiously at other people, seeing if people are looking at him.
Not here. We can go.
Yes. Excellent.
Is this about the data you had me delete?
The what?
The message you sent me to delete all that.
I didn't do that.
You did it yesterday.
I didn't do that yesterday.
Yes, you did.
Send that? I didn't.
You absolutely did.
Well, can you at least show me the message?
All right. Well, I'll just... And she pulls up her own datapad and scrolls down, and she keeps scrolling. No, it was... It happened less than a day ago. I swear it was... You messaged me telling me to wipe the data because you thought someone was looking for it.
Okay. Just to start off, I do believe you. However, I did not actually send that, which means that somebody else did.
I don't know any other Oswald Theophilus, whatever the thirds.
I do.
Also, what? Huh? What?
But how would they know about that? How would they know about that? That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know who you're talking about anymore.
I'm
talking
about Oswald Octavian Theophilus III. Not me, apparently, but the current... There's a lot to it. I don't want to get into it, but... Okay, that's great. That's good. Excellent. I think I'm going to go get another drink. And then he's going to wander off.
As Oswald begins contemplating what all that means, and you all begin contemplating what comes next for Oracle Zero, there is a ship-wide alert that is sent out. It's not an alarm or a klaxon or anything, but there is a message that is sent to every crew member aboard the Storm's Repose that there will be some visiting dignitaries before you make your next trip to Gob War. The command staff of the Storm's Repose will be meeting with the visiting CEO of Aegis Tech Solutions, who happens to be in the system. And that you are all to be on your best behavior. And exactly what happens when a certain somebody comes a-visiting, well, we'll just have to see what happens next time. Because as always, you can find us online at MatcomRPG on Twitter and Instagram. You can also email us at materialcomponentsrpg@gmail.com. We always love hearing from all of our listeners.
You can find me on Twitter at CryOutOlivia. I am always there talking about D&D and other RPGs and also just a lot of other nerd stuff. So come hang out.
You can find me on Twitter at Elliot C. Lewis. I'm an illustrator and graphic designer, doing a lot of tabletop RPG and other fan art. You can also support me on Patreon and Ko-fi. Links to both of those are in my Twitter profile.
You can find me at The Readamus on Instagram and Twitter, where I post jokes and lots of photos of nature, so come check it out.
And you cannot find me on social media, but what you can do is support our show by rating and reviewing it on whatever platform you're listening to it on. Please, please, please do so.
Indeed, and finally, you can find me personally on Twitter and Instagram at MKGorgoni, where I'm always happy to talk about all things material components. But as always, the world is chaos, so please, be kind to each other. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.